Hey, Dr. McLeese here from Better Than the Honeymoon. I just recently read Greg McCowan's book, Essentialism, and I wanted to share some of the insights that I gained from it. Now, this book isn't really about marriage. It's actually a book for entrepreneurs so that they can concentrate on the thing that is most important and ignore all the other extraneous details. But I found that that's actually an incredible lesson for marriage. And this is why. So, a lot of times couples come to me and they have just all of these concerns about one another that they start rattling them off like this. And sometimes I actually have to stop a couple and just say, hey, hold on, time out. We can only deal with one of these at a time. In fact, when couples come in and they rattle off, he does this and this and this and this, and then the other spouse comes in with, she does this and this and this and this, all of a sudden there's so much information overload that I feel confused and overwhelmed. And I know if I feel that way, the couple does too. So here's some tips for learning what is the big issue. So that way when you do need to work on marriage concerns and marriage issues that are going on, you know which one to address first. Now, this is how McCowan says it in his book. He says, imagine that you have a stovetop. One burner is family, one is friends, one is career, and one is health. To operate at the full extent, or to operate where you're going to get the most done at one time, you have to turn one of those burners off. So one of those things kind of have to go to the back. And then he says if you really want to operate optimally, then two of those burners have to come off. Now, certainly, I'm not going to say that you need to be turning off the burners in your life so that you have less to concentrate on. But when it comes to marriage, we have to understand that in every single situation, something is going to take priority and something's going to be less important. So at any point in your marriage, you may find that your career at that point is the most important. There may be a work obligation that you can't get out of because you'll get fired if you try to not adhere to that standard. There may be times when your marriage absolutely has to be priority. So you guys may be going through some troubles where you have to put some other things to the side and just concentrate on you. That may mean having some date nights where nobody else matters except the two of you and building your relationship. There may be times when family takes priority, like a death in the family, or if you're trying to learn how to get along with one another's parents or brothers or sisters. And then there may be time when your friends take priority because you're trying to have more fun together and it helps to bring in others and do couples dates. So it's important to realize which one of these things you need to concentrate on at any minute. Now, that being said, if you're finding in your marriage that there's a lot of issues going on, maybe you're having communication troubles and you're having conflict troubles, maybe there's intimacy issues, look at all of those and try to decide if I could only work on one. If I knew that nothing else in the marriage was going to improve right now, but there was one thing that I had to have right now to feel like I could keep going on, what would that one thing be? Now, sometimes couples will say, well, no, it's all important. I can't look at just one thing. Everything is important. But the truth is, all of us only have so much energy to give to problem solving at any time. So if we can put all of our energies on the biggest problem or the most important problem, or the problem that if we solve this one, the others will start to get better, maybe not perfect, but they'll already have some improvement, that's what you want to concentrate on. Here's an example. If you guys fight every time you talk, then communication would probably be a really good one to work on. Let's work on talking kindly to one another, not judging one another, not name calling, but speaking nice at each other. And then those other things will start to fall in line. Certainly you can't work on something when you can't even talk to one another. Okay. Now, if you have something bigger going on in your marriage, maybe there's been an affair of some type, then I'll tell you right now, the number one main concern would be making sure there's no contact with the affair partner. So you see how it may be different from couple to couple. I would encourage you, if you guys are having some struggles or you're having some problems, or even if you just want to improve your marriage in general, look at what is the big item for us. Is it time together? Is it going on a date once a week? Which, by the way, if you don't do a consistent date night, I would encourage you to do so. Is it more time for intimacy? Figure it out. Sit down with your spouse and say, what is the biggest issue we have in our marriage, or what is the one thing if we could change, all these other things would start falling into place. And as always, if you find that you can't do this just with your spouse and you need some help, seek out a good counselor or a mentor couple, or in other words, a couple that can be a mentor for you. Spend some time with them and make your marriage priority, at least for a little while. Like I said earlier, sometimes work may come in the way of that, or family obligations may come in the way of that, but don't let that be the consistent pattern. All right. Blessings on you and your marriage.